Okay guys, welcome to the video. This video is basically just going to go into how to put yourself in the position to lose weight. It's not going to be boring, I'm not going to make it all sciencey and stuff like that. It's going to be really like simple to understand, or I hope it is. Make it a little bit funny and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So it won't be too long, obviously just give it a watch, make sure you watch this. And obviously by the end of it, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us on the discussion section of the page. Okay, so this presentation is basically going over how to lose weight, how to understand how to lose weight. So first off, meet Ted. I'm going to use a guy called Ted as the example. So yeah, this is Ted. Meet him, say hello. Okay, so Ted's maintenance intake is roughly 2,800 calories. Okay, so this is the amount of calories that Ted needs in order to maintain his level of body weight. This is otherwise known as TDEE, which is total daily energy expenditure. This is like a kind of like a sciencey word, which you're kind of taught in school and university and stuff like that. In reality, it's the same as maintenance intake. I prefer to use the word maintenance intake or maintenance calorie intake, just because it's a lot more simpler to understand. To me, going on about TDEE and stuff like that, trying to think of big words for something that's quite simple, is just going to confuse people. So just look at it as your your maintenance calorie intake. So why is Ted's maintenance calorie intake 2,800 calories? That's something that we need to understand. Ted's stats are as followed. So he is 80 kilos, he is 170 centimeters tall, and his age is 25 years old. So with these stats, we can basically understand, like how big Ted is and how kind of, how many calories he basically needs to function in regards to his actual physical structure in his body. So when it comes to calculating calories, the first thing that you really work out is your BMR. So this is your base metabolic rate. So this is how many calories your body requires in order to maintain itself. So in order to maintain itself at rest. So let's say if Ted or yourself was lying in bed all day, doing nothing but eating, your BMR would be the amount of calories that you need to eat in order to basically survive or maintain your body weight, doing absolutely nothing. So yeah, obviously if Ted stayed in bed all day, did absolutely nothing, just lied in bed for 24 hours, 365 days per year, doing nothing but just eating the food that he needs to eat, he would basically be living off his BMR, which would be about 1,800 to 1,900 calories based off his stats. Obviously, this would depend on how much you weigh and your age and stuff. So obviously, for each of you, it's going to be slightly different. Obviously, Ted, being a normal human being, doesn't stay in bed 24/7, 365 days a year. He works. He goes to the gym a few times a week. Is generally like a relatively active person, obviously walks, does housework, meets up with friends and all that sort of stuff. So this means that over the course of a day, Ted actually expends an additional 900 calories. Okay, so this is just an estimate given to someone who is relatively active, going to the gym a few times a week, training and all that sort of stuff. So if he does all that, he's going to expend an additional 900 calories on top of that, baseline of 1,900 calories, which his body requires in order to function. So that's things like breathing, obviously like digesting food. When it comes to obviously adding them up, come to 2,800 calories. So this is his total daily energy expenditure. So you work this out by adding your BMR, which is obviously the amount of calories that you need in order to kind of survive as a human being, in order for your body to function, plus the amount of expenditure you do through daily activity, which obviously includes anything from like going to the gym, like walking, just moving around the house, picking things up. So when you add your BMR to that, it equals 2,800 calories, what it does for Ted anyway. Obviously, again, for you guys, it's going to be different depending on, to begin with, your body stats, and secondly, to do with how much activity you actually do in a day. So if Ted was to increase his activity levels, if he was to, let's say, consciously walk a bit more, so rather than do, let's say, 5 to 10,000 steps per day, maybe he did 20,000 steps per day. Maybe instead of driving to work, he walked to work. Maybe instead of going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, he went 5 or 6. This would mean that, those 900 calories per day that he was expending before, he is now, pushed that up to maybe 1,400 calories per day. So this would then mean that instead of his maintenance calorie intake being 2,800 calories, it's now gone up to 3,300. So that's the initial chunk from his BMR being, 1,900 calories, plus the additional calories that he's done through like daily activity. So rather than that now be 1,900 calories or 900 calories even, now it's obviously gone up to 1,400. So when you add those together, obviously it's 3,300. Unfortunately though, Ted is currently holding a bit of body fat. Obviously, he's been in probably like a calorie surplus. He's been eating a bit more than what he needs to maintain his body weight over the last couple of months. And yeah, he's holding a bit of extra body fat that he wants to get rid of for the summer. So this is probably the position that, all of us are in right now. I'm currently in this position where I've kind of pushed my food up during my off season to build muscles, which means that, you've also put on a bit of body fat as well. Some of you may be in the same position, some of you may not, and just be holding a little bit more body fat than you kind of want to, which is absolutely fine. At the end of the day, we're all in exactly the same position. So yeah, obviously, the likelihood is that he's not doing any of the extra activities, such as, walking a lot, doing lots of cardio, doing an excessive amount of expenditure by any means. Ted is also now ginger, as you can tell. He's obviously, kind of changed a little bit since the muscly guy with the great mustache. So what should he do next? This is the question. First, you need to understand what a calorie deficit is. So consuming less calories than your body is expending is probably the most simple way of explaining calorie deficit. Obviously, by consuming less calories than you're expending, obviously, you're intaking less calories or less fuel in than your body needs to kind of run. Therefore, you obviously end up losing body fat because your body, results to using the body fat as energy rather than obviously like the calories that you're eating. So there are 2 different ways of implementing calorie deficit. The first one is eating less calories. So when we go back and look at obviously the kind of easy definition for a calorie deficit is consuming less calories than your body is expending. What most people seem to do or seem to think that means is you have to eat less. And that's it. The problem with just eating less is, let's say, if we're talking about Ted here, whose maintenance calorie intake is 2,800, and bear in mind this is relatively high as well. So especially for you females, your female or your maintenance calorie intake may be a lot lower. It may be around 2,000 calories. For you smaller guys, it may be a little bit less than this. For you larger guys, it may be a little bit bigger. But for Ted, it's 2,800 calories. If he eats less, and let's say just drops down to eating 2,200 to 2,300 calories per day, that doesn't leave him much to play with if he's planning on, going on a 12-week cut. The thing is, your body adapts to these sort of things. So if you drop your calories down to 2,300, 2,200 straight away, to begin with, you're going to be hungry because you're not eating much food. 2,200 calories or 2,300 calories is not a lot of food. Secondly, when your body, adapts to this, because you're eating less food, your body adapts and begins to just move less. This is partly why, you'll see people who don't eat a lot of food get, tired. It's why, you may want to sleep more. You may just want to move less. Even things such as shivering. You won't shiver as much. You won't, itch and fidget and stuff as much either. It's just your body's way of adapting to you eating less calories. So it's really, really important that we understand this and that we don't just think, okay, I want to lose lots of weight, I'm going to eat less, because that's not how it works, and that's the biggest mistake people make. So the second option, how to put yourself in a calorie deficit, is doing more. This is, in my opinion, or in general, the best way to kind of go about things. The problem with most, not the problem with most people, but the problem with most people when they're obviously in a position where they're holding more body fat than they want to be, is not necessarily because of the fact they're eating loads of food. It's more kind of down to the fact that they need to kind of do more in regards to physical activity. Obviously, we live in a day and age where obviously everyone drives to work. Obviously we spend a lot of time sitting down on a laptop like I'm doing at the moment. Watch a lot of TV. We spend a lot of time like not really moving. It's easy to kind of, go about your daily life without actually expending many calories. So the main thing that I would look at doing is obviously focusing on this. So focusing on doing more. So once we obviously find out our maintenance calories, I'll go into a minute, but obviously option 2 is kind of, the king. So just to go into this, how it works, because a lot of people obviously, don't really understand how it works, how you put yourself in a greater calorie deficit by doing more rather than eating less. So let's say Ted's maintenance calories are 2,800. Instead of eating 500 calories less, he just needs to do more activity, which equates to that 500 calories of expenditure. So by, let's say, going to the gym when he doesn't already, then, in that gym session, he may burn 500 extra calories than he normally would, which would then, push his maintenance calorie intake up to 3,300. However, in order to stay in the calorie deficit, he wouldn't eat the 3,300 calories that his maintenance calorie intake would be. Instead, he would just continue eating the 2,800 calories, but his body would, be asking for that 3,300. So in essence, he would then be making a 500 calorie deficit. So which is the best? Should you eat less or do more to lose weight? The answer is really both. You're going to use both during the 12-week period. However, to begin with, for week 1, I would look at getting your maintenance calories. So obviously I put the maintenance calorie intake calculator up on the Facebook page. Find out your maintenance calories, or what the estimate is for you, and then look at doing more. So if you're not going to the gym at the moment, start going to the gym. If you're going to the gym, 2 to 3 times a week at the minute, try and go 4 to 5 times a week. That's a really, really good amount to go. 4 to 5 times a week. Also, don't just look at it as going to the gym. Also look at your daily activity as well. How many steps are you doing? How much are you moving around during the day? It's getting to the summer now. It's getting sunny. If you get the chance to go out for a walk in the afternoon, in the evening, for like a 20, 30-minute walk each day, that's going to do wonders in the long run. So yeah, why do we, want to keep our food high, and why do we want to kind of keep that food high and push the expenditure and the amount we move, to be more? So when we eat more, or eat, more food, obviously it allows our metabolism to remain high and quick. Often, you hear people go, I've got a fast metabolism, and kind of, a lot of people look at that as a thing people were like born with or gifted with. It's not really the case. You'll often find people who have fast metabolisms are people who are generally just far more active. Like myself, I would consider myself to be someone with a fast metabolism, but therefore, but then again, like if you look at it, quite often in a day, I'll do 10,000 to 20,000 steps. I will train like 5 to 6 times per week, very, very intensely. So it's not the fact that I've got a fast natural metabolism. It's more down to the fact that I'm, generally active on a consistent basis, all of the time. And that may be the same for a lot of you guys. It may not be the same for a lot of you guys if you've obviously, not particularly been that active, but obviously part of this is obviously changing that, and you can change it. So week 1, what should you do? I'm just going to quickly sum up what you should do for week 1. Obviously, it's up to you if you want to follow this or not, but this is, in my opinion, and I'm sure in all the other coaches' opinion, what you should do for week 1. So step 1 is use the calculator that we've provided on the Facebook group. Obviously, if you have any issues, feel free to message us and we can help you out with that. You'll find out your maintenance calorie intake, so make sure you obviously, take an accurate reading of your height, weight, and obviously I assume everyone knows the age. Stick that in there. It will give you a number for males and females. Make sure you take the right one. The next one would be to start using MyFitnessPal and tracking your calories. A lot of people, when it comes to tracking your calories, if you've never done it before, it's like, I can't do that. It's too much. It's too, much fuss. It's really, really simple to do. it's one of those things which it seems really confusing to begin with, but when you start doing it, it's literally no hassle at all. It's super easy, super simple. I'm actually going to be doing a separate video on this, how to use MyFitnessPal. So for those of you who, kind of looking at this and thinking, oh, I don't want to have to track my macros, it's, so confusing, it takes so much time. Trust me, it's not. It's really, really easy, and it doesn't take any time whatsoever. Step number 3 will be start, training 4 to 5 times a week. That's what I would recommend. If you can train 4 to 5 times per week, and that isn't cardio, that's actually going to the gym, using resistance machines, using weights, doing some sort of physical actual training, rather than, cardiovascular activity. And that's for females as well. If you're a female, don't think that, you therefore cannot lift weights because you'll get big. It's not the case. It's another kind of little fad, or whatever you want to call it, that seems to be kind of going around, or has been, obviously for forever really. If you're a female, weight training is just as good for you as, if you're a male. It's great for burning calories. So yeah, obviously don't do any cardio to begin with. Literally just go to the gym and have like a normal training session for like 4 to 5 times per week. Step number 4 would be to consciously aim to move more. So whether that be, taking the stairs rather than taking the elevator, walking to work rather than driving to work, walking to the gym rather than, driving to the gym, just going out for a walk in the evenings, just consciously being on your feet more rather than sitting down and watching TV. I mean, it's the summer, so I'm sure, it's, the best time of the year to do this. It's the easiest time of the year to do this. It's not like it's going to be raining every day outside, so you're kind of stuck inside. Everyone can get outside, everyone can move more, so there's absolutely no excuses. One thing you can do, if you really want to take it a little bit further, is obviously count your steps. Everyone these days has a phone. A lot of people have an iPhone which has the Health app. It tells you like a rough estimate of your steps on there. A lot of people also have like smartwatches. It will also tell you like steps and stuff on there. A good aim in regards to steps is 10,000 steps per day. That's kind of like the national guideline, I think. But it's a really, really good kind of guideline to have. If you can hit 10,000 steps per day, it means you're being active, and that's good. Step number 5 is tracking your weight. Again, it depends on you as a person, but I personally recommend that you track your weight. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be every other day. It could be once a week. However, I like to track people's weights in regards to coaching and with myself every single day. It's going to fluctuate when it comes to your weight, but at the same time, you don't need to be kind of like stuck to your weight and be super concentrating on your weight to think it means that it's directly related to body fat, because it's not. Just because you're losing a little bit of weight or gaining a little bit of weight does not mean that that is equivalent to body fat. However, it's a really, really good way of kind of tracking to make sure that in general you're in the right direction. So if your weight is consistently going down, or if it's spiking up and going up and down a fair bit, but in general it's kind of going down, and each week you kind of hit like a new low weigh-in, then obviously you're in the right direction. So whatever you're doing is working, you're actually losing body fat, and it's a good sign. I think it's motivating. It's a good way to make sure that you're actually on track. So yeah, I would track your weight. Obviously depending on like how often you want to do this is completely up to you, but obviously the more you track your weight, the more kind of data you're collecting. I hope this video helps. I know it was about 20 minutes long in the end, but I hope this video helps. Feel free to tag Ted on Instagram and give us a tag. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to either ask myself, Lewis, Mike, or Tom, or just post something in the kind of discussion page on the Facebook group. Also, it'd be great if everyone could introduce themselves. Obviously, us coaches are going to do it, or we already have. Just to introduce ourselves so you kind of know what we're about. It'd be great to kind of, it doesn't have to be a video, but even just like a picture or just like a hi, just anything from any of you guys, just to get like involved and kind of communicate with us guys. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be doing some more like this throughout the next couple of weeks. I'll be doing another one probably tomorrow on how to use MyFitnessPal for those that want to know a bit more on how to track calories.